So, good morning. My name is Jordan, and I am the first speaker from the government team. Would like to explain to you about this current motion. This House would mandate that universities in wealthy or developed nations with significant international student enrollments share a portion of their tuition revenue generated from those students with academic institutions in developing countries. I am within the pro side, and I will explain to you regarding the motion first. First, regarding the motion, wealthy or developed nations here, we classify as nations that are top 20 in terms of the amount of their GDPs in the world regarding to international research. So top 20, not 20%, top 20. Then for developing countries, the developing countries that we mean of are the countries that are not within those top 20. Next, with significant international student enrollments. So, significant international student enrollments here we classify as when a nation has an average of more than 15% of their students being overseas, and we limit that to universities. To universities that can be valued with discretion. So, when those universities have, you know, close to 15% or more than 15% overseas students, then they can be hit by this motion. Next is how they would share a portion of their tuition revenue. The way they would share a portion of their tuition revenue is by extracting 5 to 10% of either tuition fees from fees from signing in into the university, maybe certain operational fees, but it is basically tuition fees generated from those universities, and it will be given to governments. So the governments we speak of are the governments of those developing countries, and if they and that would be mandated, of course, as asked by the motion. That would be mandated, and then if they want to do more, then they can strike private deals, with the academic institutions themselves. For the academic institutions, we define them as institutions that contribute or that help develop a certain nation's academia or education. So that includes maybe schools, private lesson, like tutoring spots, tutoring hubs, maybe research facilities, and anything that improve a country's academia and educational resources. Next would be, and of course, the how much they would share is between 5 to 15% per period. So they would share 5 to 15% of their tuition fees to those governments, maybe through tax, maybe through certain, maybe by just pure giveaways. And so we are going to discuss why that is a good thing. First, there is a surplus of financials and surplus of monetary unused by those universities or by that have a significant student enrollment. It is very popular that some of those maybe big name universities, maybe you know them as Ivy Leagues, or maybe any one of those big universities, of course, gains a lot from financially from student enrollments. So they often don't use, or they often use it personally, some of their financial gain, because they simply gain a lot from it. Like they gain a lot from student rolling in, from the tuition fees, from the operational fees, and so they are taken. They should be taken. They should be used for this, so that the surplus of economy unused is not put to waste. It can be developed into something much more major. It can be used for something that is much more beneficial for humankind, bringing me to public servitude. It is a form of public servitude, really, to give your money, to donate it to developing countries, because it is a form of advocating for human rights. Because as we know, human rights are a form, one of them is to have the ability to attend education. Education is really important, and we know them in many plans. For example, like a developmental plan like SDG, we know they exist in other plans in that country internally too. So every country has a plan with education. because education is that important to a person, that important to an individual. So by having universities that have significant student enrollments share a portion of their hefty tuition fees to generating countries. Generating countries, of course, can give it, of course, with discretion and, of course, with surveillance to academic institutions to help them develop, to help them improve, and to just, fast forward the development of every single developing country. Why is that the case? Well, developing countries often have one thing, which is a lack of financials, a lack of logistics, and with a boost on the financial side, that certainly can help with developing the country. So developing the country academically is the main focus here, and that certainly cannot be ignored. That certainly is important. Next is the chance, like I speak of earlier, to have to have teamwork, to have private deals, to work together in developing the world. Why? Because by making universities help those certain universities, by making the not universities, sorry, I mean academic institutions, by having them help, that could actually improve one, relations, that could actually establish connections, and three, that could make them much more open-minded to cooperation, which actually could be very beneficial not only for just the developing countries, but for the developed countries and thus the entire world. So I think it is very important that that is the case, and that development doesn't stagnate. It can carry over to other things outside of education as well, outside of academia. Maybe it can help to innovate with something, maybe healthcare wise, maybe innovate through something, transportation wise, agriculture. I mean, academics is the basis of in which how human live today, and by having people, by having universities share a portion of their tuition fees, 5 to 15%, like we established earlier, depending on the discretion. What happens is that people in need, so the countries in need of those financial help, would be able to grow, would be able to improve. They would help carry the world in ways they could not have done before. So that is it. I rest my case, and that is why I agree, and we from the government side also agree, that this house should mandate and would mandate that universities in wealthy or developed nations with significant international student enrollments share a portion of their tuition revenue generated from the students with academic institutions in developing countries.